We're here with Brian Pickett and Graham Cornies of VooDoo Highway Music and Post, one of the most successful screen composing companies around. Can you talk about how you first got into children's music?
Well, it's funny. It was a kind of a long road. We started the company when we were in our 20s, and we were just kids ourselves. It felt like it. So, the idea of scoring kids animation back then wasn't even on our radar. We actually, even if you look at our early branding or our name, we wanted to do psychological thrillers and horrors, horror movies, and even our name is kind of a riff on a David Lynch film called Lost Highway. We would have called ourselves Lost Highway Music, but it was taken. I think sometimes the work just finds you. We did, for the first 10 years, we did a lot of jingles, which ended up helping us later in life, writing music and songs, especially for kids shows. We wrote a lot of jingles. We did PlayStation advertising for a long time in Canada. And it worked out well. Right around the same time I had my first child, we actually won our first preschool series, which was Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. And it's funny because all of a sudden, your life just kind of adapts to what you're working on. And he was my son. He was our first test audience for Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood. Absolutely. I remember taking him to his first Paw Patrol birthday party, and that was after season 2 or season 3. The show was just starting to become the massive hit it is now, and it blew the parents' mind. I was like, I write the music for this show, and that was when I first knew that these shows were, gaining traction.
Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood in particular has been incredibly recognized. It won a Silver Parents' Choice Award in 2013 and 2014, was nominated for a Television Critics Association Award for Outstanding Achievement in Youth Programming 2013 and 2014, won a 2014 Prix Jeunesse International Selection. It's been honored more than twice by SOCAN Awards as well. Can you talk a little bit about the way that Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood seems to have caught on?
Well, I feel like Daniel Tiger is having, Fred Rogers himself is kind of having a moment culturally now. I feel like with the Tom Hanks movie that just came out, with the documentary that came out about him recently. And I grew up watching Mr. Rogers, and I know that show was, it was unique to me too, just in that it was one of those shows that involved the home viewer. A person speaking directly to home viewer. And Daniel Tiger riffs on that. Of course, after Fred passed away, they wanted to continue on the legacy in some way, shape, or form. And recruiting the creators of Blue's Clues was an amazing move on their part. Also kind of a more modern show that had involvement of the home viewer and all of that stuff. I'm so happy that Daniel Tiger has actually served its intended purpose. We were kind of wondering when we first started whether or not the musical strategy thing would be usable by preschoolers. Now, of course, the people at Out of the Blue and 9 Story had a lot more insight on that than us because, they had an early childhood education background. But I remember the first time your kid was able to sing back one of the strategies we'd been working on just from the pilot, we were like, this is going to work. So now when we when we've traveled different places, I was in San Francisco at one point and a parent came up to me and were like, you do Daniel Tiger, you're the reason my kid would try vegetables, or whatever it was, right? So the fact that these songs and the strategies are alive in the houses of other people, that they're using this stuff, that's really gratifying. And so it's just nice to be a part of something like that.
Can you talk a little bit about Paw Patrol? That has been hugely successful all around the world. Again, has won more than a couple of SOCAN awards over the years and continues to be successful as it goes along. Let's just, for a minute, talk about how that's worked out.
That has been crazy, right?
Yeah.
A wild ride with that one.
Absolutely. And, funnily enough, it was actually our second show about puppies that we worked on. So when it came along, we were like, yeah, exactly, the road vehicles. And we were like, oh, another puppy show, that's all right. And it obviously had so many benefits, so many advantages. And so, the characters were cute, the world was amazing, the voices were so talented along the way. And we had a director who came our way and asked if we would score the show. We had already done a show with him. And I guess right after the first season, we went to a wrap party. And everyone was buzzing there. They're saying the ratings of this show are off the off the
charts, yeah.
off the charts, and we've heard that before, and then had the show be canceled the season after and all that. But this time we took it seriously, and like I told you, I went to my first Paw Patrol themed birthday party, and that was kind of a cathartic moment for me, where I realized like this thing is catching on beyond what we had ever expected and what we had ever could have hoped for. So you get one of those. You hope to have one show like that in your career.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky, and the team there. And last thing I will say is the fact that they trusted us with the people at Spin Master trusted us with the property back when that was years ago now. We're talking 7 or 8 years ago that we started working on it. Before we had a lot of our credits as
there are other credits, yeah.
absolutely. Sure. So we've been happy to be along for the ride.
Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood won a Daytime Emmy Award in 2019. Can you talk a little bit about that and about perhaps any other Emmy prospects on the horizon?
Well, I mean, it was amazing to see these people that we've been working with for years, from actors to the show creators to the script writers to the people at FRC, like actually just walk across that stage and accept that award and all of that stuff. So that was just awesome, and just gratifying to see at a distance, So yeah, we've been submitted for some stuff this year. We'll see, that sort of thing.